I'm going to show you how to use your water flosser to ensure that you're getting the fluid underneath your gum tissue and not just using it as floss. So what we're going to do, I'm going to use this little mouth model. This dude has a pretty significant gum infection, bright red gum tissue, and a lot of swelling. The type of tip that you want to use has this little rubber end to it. So that rubber end really helps so that you can water pick your mouth by feel versus by watching. Because if you try to watch what you're doing, it's going to make a big mess, and I'll show you why in just a minute. So technique-wise, you want to take that rubber tip, literally touch it right to the gum line with very slight pressure, and you're going to trace like the shape of a letter M on the top. So think of it as getting it underneath there. There's a space between the tooth and the gum that you're wanting to flush this solution through. And you're going to do the exact same thing on the roof of your mouth. So taking that rubber tip, tracing it around like the shape of a letter M. And yes, the inside's going to be harder than the outside. So when you're on the bottom, then you're going to do a W. So taking that tip, aiming it down into the gum line. And about this snail's pace is what you want to do. Because we're not just going to spray it in between our teeth. We want to do as much of the circumference as possible. Now the hardest is probably the inside of the bottom because we're going to be contending with our tongue that's right there. But we're going to take that and we're just going to do the best that we can, aiming it down into the gums, down into the gums. So that's what we're going for. So now, live action. So when you have your water flosser, what you're going to do is you're going to take that rubber tip, and what I would strongly suggest you do first is to practice by looking at yourself in the mirror while it's not attached. So literally open your mouth, touch it to the gums, and trace around. Then you can really feel how much pressure you need, and you can feel that firmer rubber tip at the gum line. So now I know how it should essentially feel when I do it by watching. So as you can imagine, if I tried to watch myself, this is like a fire hose. It's just going to be spraying constantly. And if I tried to do it and it's spraying, it's probably going to ricochet all over the mirror and all down my face and my arm. Not really what you want to do before work in the morning, or before bed for that matter, to make a big mess. So what I do is stick my head way down into the sink, mouth open. And I like to start on my upper back and trace all the way forward and leave my mouth open. So what that's going to look like, because I'm not going to run water through here so you can actually see what I'm doing, is just touch it up to the gum line, and I just touch and I go M shape around all these teeth. And as you can imagine, the fluid's going to be just running out of my mouth. I go to my midline, and then I do the same thing on the inside. And at home, I make sure that I keep my head way down into the sink, and I kind of raise my elbow a little bit so that any water that's back flowing onto here doesn't run down my arm. So then on the bottom, I'm going to do the same thing. And the inside. And then you're going to finish your entire mouth. So it's important to remember, like anything new in life, this is not going to be super slick smooth the first few times you do it. It's going to take practice, and the more you do it, like everything else, you'll just get used to what you need to do so that you don't make a mess and that you are feeling it under the gums. If you're using this technique and you're like, I don't even know where this fluid is going, I'm not sure that I have the right technique, then I strongly advise take the tip off, look at yourself in the mirror again, and practice, so that you kind of know what you're feeling for. If you do have any type of gum infection, even if it's in the earliest stages of gingivitis, I would say expect some bleeding. Don't let that stop you from continuing to water pick, because we do need to flush all that bacteria, that biofilm, any debris in your teeth out. One thing that's also motivating to do this is what I do at home is I have a white porcelain sink and I watch what comes out, and I always see stuff. I love blueberries. Blueberry seeds are notorious for getting stuck in my teeth. Nuts, seeds, popcorn, any of that stuff just comes out. So if ever you're thinking like, I'm just going to go to bed and I'm only going to brush my teeth, think about all the stuff that you've seen in the sink before, because you might be going to bed with it. So happy water irrigating.